Alright, so today I'm finally going to get started on the actual wiring. Now, the issue with the wiring is that in today's day and age, you can actually buy an eBay harness and from anywhere from 80 bucks to 115. Those are all pretty much based off of the LS1, so I think it's EV1 fuel injectors, and then you just need the jumper harnesses to the Multec. And those are about $15, so 80 to 115 bucks is what they cost and run. What I'm doing today is I'm going to be stripping the harness that I got, stripping the harness from the junkyard, and I know that can be kind of an annoying task. Not everybody likes wiring. That's why it's just more convenient to get the eBay harness. But let me give you some statistics here. Out of the three that I've been presented from eBay, I've installed 3 of those specific eBay harnesses, and one on a Fox body, that one's running and driving now. One on an OBS, that one is running and driving now, but I think he got that one from Amazon. And then the third one is a very specific one that came. It's the same as the other ones, but that one came with the EV1 to Multec fuel injector jumpers for the connectors. And that one, for some reason, had some issues. It ran fine with starter fluid, and then eventually it just wouldn't fire up at all either, for any reason. And a little diagnosing, and it turns out that the cam and the crank sensor weren't getting voltage, and they weren't getting the reference either. So that kind of made it a junk harness, even though the whole fuse block, the fuses were getting voltages, they were getting power on through the key, and everything was working fine. But for some reason, it wasn't getting to that. Now the whole point of getting a eBay harness is that it's already prepped for you. It's already loomed and everything, and you don't have to mess with it. I did not want to strip that harness at all down. It's a waste of time. The whole point it's there is for convenience, so you're really running the risk. Out of 3 that I did, 1 failed. That's a 33% failure rate based off of what I've done. So, since kind of a tale of caution, if you have the eBay harness, if you have the truck harness, just use that. So I don't know if I showed you this, but I'll show it again. This is based off of the LT1. If I can get the focus. That's the part number right there. It's a fuse holder. Like I said, I'm gonna wire the fuel pump independently with one of those fancy relays that holds the fuse. It's gonna be 25-30 amperes. And if you have it, just run the junkyard harness. What's cool about the junkyard harness is that you're stripping it anyway, so if you have to extend wires, you can, and then you just loom over it or wrap it in Tessa tape. So the other thing is going to be the alternator. Now, for a quick tale of caution with the alternator stuff, I had a complete stock wiring harness, and the issue with that one was the alternator was staying on to where it was backfeeding. It was backfeeding the battery, so essentially the alternator was draining my battery. And the reason was, I thought it was a bad diode from the alternator. I replaced it, same thing, and then I decided to actually diagnose, and turns out it was the PCM was keeping the alternator on. And that was confirmed by checking the voltage. So you key on, 12 volts at this connector, key off, 12 volts at this connector. Now, I'm gonna test this one. If it works without me having to put this on, even better. But if it doesn't, not a big deal. You might be wondering what this even is. This is an alternator pigtail that I made. Now, you're gonna have to do your own research on this one, but it has a 470k ohm resistor on this. So essentially this keeps it from frying. So when you do this to a key on 12 volt signal, it turns on the alternator. When you turn it off, it turns it off. So basically, the test again, make sure it's key off, 0 volts here, key on, 12 volts here. And then the resistor will take care of the rest and keep it from burning out. So there's that. Again, just use the harness that you already have. You're gonna strip it anyways, and if you already have the eBay one, then just run it. But again, the benefit of actually having the harness is that it'll actually be tailored to what you need based on what your car needs and the space that you have to put this through the firewall. I know it looks kind of horrible because you have to strip this down, but seeing, in the close-ups I'll show you, but I already depinned this. All you got to do is work these out, delete these wires and the connectors that go to this, and that's it. So there's three steps when it comes to this: taking the pins out that you don't need, removing the pins at step 2, and then the actual, all the essentials from this are gonna go into this. So again, if I'm scaring you with the eBay harnesses, that's probably a good thing. Save you some heartache and some time from having to diagnose that. Because out of the 2 times it would just fire up, but the third car, the F100 LS swap did not want to. It barely ran on starter fluid, and after that it wouldn't even fire the coils. PCM was confirmed. PCM confirmed batch was disabled. Fans were enabled and everything. You're getting signal from the OBD and everything, and no faults. At this point, there's really no point. And of course, it was going to show no faults because it didn't know that the engine was spinning. That's what the cam and crank sensors do. Well, mainly the crank sensor tells the computer that it's rotating to fire the injectors and the spark plugs. So how could it actually register a DTC when it doesn't know that it's actually spinning? So I'm gonna get started with this. Again, the website you need to go to is going to be lt1swap.com. There's 2 variations of these: the red and blue connectors. Those are good for manual throttle bodies that actually have a physical cable attached to them. And then 03 to 07 have the green-blue connector. Those are good if you absolutely have to have cruise control. That gets taken care of with that, and one of these pins is actually the cruise control input or the request signal, and then it'll just lock the throttle body to where it's at, and it'll do that part on its own. The thing about it is, if you're going to go with the 0307 electronic throttle body, you need to find a tack module and a pedal that's all from the same car, and they need to match. And that's extra wiring, extra relays, and extra fuses that you have to add for that sort of thing. So that's why I prefer the 9902s, because you can do so much better. You can do so many things with it just as much as you can do with the other ones. But some people like the fake feel of the of the electronic throttle. I'm not very much a fan of it, but they do feel better. They do feel better, they feel smoother. The cable might not snag because they don't use it, it's all electronic, but for what we're doing here, the red and blue one is going to work just fine. So, finally going to get started on this side. I already depinned it. You need to make sure you go to the actual lt1swap.com website, and it'll give you the LS pinouts. And some of these you may need, some of these you probably won't. Everything they took off, I'm taking off. The AC can actually be wired independently anyways too, so you don't really need these things. But I'm going to strip all these out, and then obviously you got to delume this, and it bundles up right here. At some point you also need electrical tape, but you're going to need to kind of keep these together, as in when you're deluming this and taking the lume off, keep these together. That way you know what section goes where and how it goes on the actual engine. That way it makes it easier to actually strip it and keeping track of each wire. And after that, I'll get started on this. Now, the most important thing is going to be your vehicle. Don't lume it yet. Just keep the wires bare and stripped to where they're all exposed. And then you put this, for me, I'm going to put this through the firewall in the kick panel. And I'm going to run this through the fender, or through the firewall. Fender's going to cover all this. And then that'll be it. And then at that point, I'll connect what I can. But chances are some of this is going to need to be stripped. Some of this is going to need to be shortened. And some of this is going to need some extra wire length. For example, the crank sensor on these is actually kind of funny because they wrap around the bundle and then go through the bottom and around the oil pan and into the crank sensor. I'm trying to see if I can find it, but it's a lot longer than it typically needs to be. See if I can find it real quick. It's actually really easy to find. It's the one that has the reflective tape on it, and as you can see, it's pretty long. So usually I hang this off of the passenger side, but this is the crank sensor. So this might be the perfect time to actually check the condition of these things. As you can see, they are greasy as hell. You can clean these up, but they tend to not really be problematic. For some reason, GM made a good harness to where you can get these out of the dirt and it's not a big deal. Like I said, the MAF sensor is actually very important. If you're building a turbo car from the get-go as well, you're going to be running a speed density tune. At least that's the most common one to do. And the cool thing about it is, dang, this freaking thing is just not focusing. Hopefully it's not blurry the whole video. Anyways, you're going to need 2 pins out of this for the intake temperature sensor. So do not depin this, the MAF connector. You're going to need it. And that'll be it. But we'll get to that point when we get to that point. So this is what you're going to be left off with after you properly remove every single wire, and it is a lot. The main issue here is that you should label every power connector and every output that you're going to need. For example, these are the outputs: OBD, fuel pump control, fuel pump relay control, speedometer, RPM, TCC. TCC is very important if you're using an electronic transmission, so that's there. Fan control is also there. As far as I'm concerned, this is all wired up. Obviously, the pins are empty, but that's because I need to know where this is going to end up at. And like I said, the grounds are shared on these. The relay control is going to be, for the fuel pump, is going to be controlled by the PCM, so there's only one wire. And then the 2 power wires. Pin 30 needs to go to the battery. Pin 87 goes directly from here to the fuel pump. Now, understand that if you use the LT1swap.com format, they usually share this one like that, so it feeds off of the 16 gauge up here, and that's just not going to cut it. You're going to burn up the wire, especially if you're using a big pump. So just wire this one independently. And obviously it's still a big old mess, but I still got to mock up, and the crank sensor needs to be shortened for sure. Things that you need to consider now is, are you running a speed density tune, or are you going to be running the mass airflow sensor? If you're running the MAF, most of it stays the same, but just a few little add-ons. For example, if you're using a speed density tune, you're going to be using the 2 wires, the intake air temperature sensor and just the ground, the IAT signal, and that's it, just 2 pins. And you can confirm that with a pinout on the LT1swap.com pinout sheet, and that's it. That's really it. It is time consuming. It took me about 3 days to get to this point, so the only reason why it took me so long is because I was in and out, and I wanted this to be completely standalone and with the least amount of wires on there. Now, unfortunately, this big old brick is not gonna fit anywhere discreetly, so it's gonna go back in the battery, unfortunately, on the battery tray. But the issue here is just build a nicer bracket, and hopefully this is enough length to where I can mount it. If not, I'll find a way to mount it right here. So, but we'll get there when we get there. I'm gonna put this on. I'm gonna mock everything up. I'm gonna test fire it. If it fires up, we're good. And then I'll take it off again, and then we'll go from there. I'll take it off. I'll wrap all this in Tessa tape, nothing fancy, and then that's it. And then these are gonna have to be wired. Right now, I just want the car to run and move. That's it. So this is the final product. The harness has now been laid over. Unfortunately, I ran out of time, so it looks the way that it does because plain and simply the storm was about to hit. So I worked on it on the last possible hour that I could. But overall, pretty happy with it. I'm really upset that the PCM ended up right in the same spot. You can see, driven it like that for a few months, no big deal. It's solidly mounted now. It's got a bracket over there, and it's got a dip cut into it, so it's not touching the positive wires at all. So before somebody says anything, Fuse box. Some of these wires still need to be tidied up, but I'm not really worried about it. I was gonna put connectors on there, but again, I ran out of time, and turns out I don't even have the right crimper for it. But I do like the way this came out. It's bracketed in there, and yeah, it's laid over like the truck is. That's what I'm saying. If you have a fuse box and you have a truck, just use the stock fuse box. Use the stock harness. You don't even have to cut anything out of it if you don't want to. And that's it. I just did this for simplicity's sake. Some of it is Tessa taped. Some of it is just stock wiring loom that, the factory tape and loom is kind of difficult to take off in some areas. But overall, it's complete now. The alternator connector is a big issue. I don't know if it's my PCM. I don't know if it's a combination of harness and year. Who knows? But overall, when you plug in the battery, this stays on. So this stays at 8 volts. Essentially, if you have that plugged in, it's going to be backfeeding the battery. From the alternator is going to be backfeeding the battery, or vice versa. I don't know which one, but basically the alternator, if you plug it like that, the alternator will drain the battery. Give it about 2 days. So what you need to end up doing is adding that connector to a key-on switch with the 4K ohm separately. At this point, I'm going to cut this off completely because it's worthless to me the way it is now. I'm going to save that, make another one, but yeah, unfortunately the alternator has to be wired independently from the harness. In this case, that's why you should always check it. As soon as you plug it in, battery with the key off, battery plugged in fully, you check the voltage on this pin. If it's any voltage at all, that means the alternator is going to be on. If it's key off on 0 volts, that means it's good to go. Key on, you should see voltage. So basically that's pretty much it. This was easy to do. It's really, I wouldn't say it's easy, it's time consuming, it's annoying, but painless performance harnesses are stupid expensive, and the eBay harnesses are just unreliable, and I've done a few of them, so I'm just not impressed with them, and I give it a few more years before we get to that point. Obviously you see those are just my accessory wires. The harness itself for the computer and the engine is complete. So fuel pump, and that's what I like about these relays, it has a fuse right on it, so you don't have to add any more. And then PCM on all the time, the orange wires, and then these two are for the coils, injectors. Well, one of these is injectors, this one's coil, and this one's for like the heated oxygen sensors, and can't remember what else was on there, but it's all good to go. It's all clean. I'm gonna take the PCM off because the battery has been sitting for a while. I don't want to upload a tune and have the voltage go low, so I'm gonna take it inside. So that's probably gonna be the next video. Going over the settings. I don't have segment swap capabilities yet, so this is gonna be a neutered 4060 basic tune, just so it can idle, just so I can roll it around, and that'll be it. So theme here, had I taken more time with it, it would have came out nicer, like the one in my Z, but that's just how it's gonna be, unfortunately. Once it warms up, once all this snow melts away, I'm definitely gonna bring it back and just cut it up and redo it, add some connectors, make it look nice, and loom everything. But for now, it's functioning. But yeah, I do wish for this to be a better looking car. At least an engine bay. Engine bay ain't so bad. Anyways, thanks for watching.